$33.
So we have to do it all together. Yeah, or we can stop, right?
Yeah.
The porta potty was on the sidewalk, outside the fence, but I printed out by some there, there's nice crowd there. Yeah.
Why?
This is an emotional one.
I didn't know any last
Yep.
I knew that was happening. I guess you guys would be over it later.
Hi.
Yeah, but that would have been good. That would have been good. Now it's all.
Okay, I'll do it. That was your opportunity.
That's good.
We messed up your audio, that's okay.
Oh. Yeah, I met his wife.
Hey, guys. No, I don't have to get out. Okay, good.
Yeah, what's the-
Sorry. I can take that.
And then I went down and
No, I didn't bring anything. All right.
Let's call meeting over with the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there a report of any executive sessions?
There were none.
Public comment.
Jeff Dunkel, Palo Alto. It's good to see a night meeting. Turnout has increased, so that's always good. There's definite need for that. Let people come out and have their voice heard, or at least take part in it. Last couple of meetings, there's no report of any executive sessions held, but there's a lot of things being done behind the scenes, behind closed doors. People being hired, not on our reports. I just don't understand all the shadiness, but We'll move on to the badge access policy that you have advertised. To update that, since there's a lot of issues with that. I don't see anything in the whole policy that states anything about background or drug tests required, but employees are required to have that done to get a card. I'm not sure what the need is for a non-employee to have access to the courthouse with a card. It's more liability. So again, I'm not quite sure if drug tests and background checks are required or not. It doesn't state that. I'd like to know. Speaking about liability, Mr. Hatter and his shenanigans. Is there an investigation open? Is something pending with that? Why aren't the public aware of this? It's going to cost the taxpayers more money. There's no action at all being taken today, nothing on the par. Yet he's permitted to work at home, but yet there's 2 women that were suspended for 911 days. 911 center, that seems to be a problem here. Now it's 911 days. These women are forced to be at home with no pay and not being found guilty of anything. So it just seems like the county rewards the perverts and the creeps, and the victims are punished. I think he's got to do better. And Larry, it's your turn to step up to the plate. These 2 guys sat here and sat on their hands for a couple of years now. Because I'll tell you right now, there's at least 1 or 2 more coming forward about Mr. Hatter. So be prepared. That lawsuit's going to be getting just as big as Mr. Halkovich's. So, tax claim. Another behind-the-scenes meeting. First, we give a guy unlimited overtime, and that's not on any bar reports or any action. Now we hire an 80-year-old best friend of Boots that he said in his depositions that was a former director from nearly 2 decades ago, and we have her in there doing work, and there's nothing on the bar report, no action taken there. But I did hear, however, that the mountain is now just a little speed bump, so that's maybe she's doing that. I don't understand why we can't bring these victims back. 911 days is absolutely pathetic. Bring them back, get the office back in shape, and get it done. There was a sale that they started taking registrations for bidders this week. So they jumped the price from $5 to $50 last year. Now you go pay the $50, but there's no list of properties. They don't have a packet ready. There's no list. There's nothing online. That December 20th sale of last year is on there. How do you want people to sign up and pay $50 to register when they don't know what the hell properties are on there? And then they're told, oh, come back for the packet another day. That's the way this office is being run like. Boots was sending help last year. Help was on the way. Help was on the way. There's no help. So hopefully you can get this action taken. And again, I think the public deserves to know what's going on with Mr. Hatter and his investigation. Thank you.
Any public comment?
Rick Wojcicki, Placerville, good evening, Commissioners. But tonight I'm here in my role as Executive Director of Schuylkill Hope Center, formerly known as Schuylkill Women in Crisis. For the last 40 years, Schuylkill Hope Center has advocated for victims of abuse and violence. Past leaders of our agency and Schuylkill County government long ago recognized the need for us to fight abuse against women in Schuylkill County together. And our respective entities have cooperatively worked together in many ways that continue to this day. Schuylkill Hope Center has evolved into an agency that helps and supports abuse victims and survivors inclusive of all. That being said, it's no secret in Schuylkill County the overwhelming majority of our victims are females who have suffered many different kinds of abuse that include sexual, emotional, and financial. Our agency's strategic operating plan lists values of safety, respect, empowerment, justice, social change, and integrity. And we strive for a community where every person lives free from abuse and the fear of violence. We strongly urge county to immediately adopt and implement those values and that vision into your own decision-making matrix. Commissioners are in the highest position of county leadership of your own volition. Leadership is never easy, nor is it absolute. Refusing to reassess and alter the county's current failed response in the matters directly and consequentially associated with the Jane Doe lawsuits is not only a failure of leadership, but in this case, it's also enabling abuse. As a law enforcement investigator for many years, I know that investigations such as this rarely present a picture at the onset. I also know that additional evidence is developed over time and necessitates constant reevaluation of the totality of the circumstances. Early in this situation, you very well may not have had all the information now available to you. In fact, you may not have been directly involved in decision-making at that time. But as we meet here today, information that's become known clearly has shown that there exist many wrongs that demand justice. And there's absolutely a need for you now to reassess and modify the county's original response in order to achieve the correct and just outcome. At some point, which most of us agree is long past, it becomes a matter of doing what is right, simply and purely because it is right. Rectifying previous leadership decisions require courage. Preventing further abuses would display strength, but continuing with the status quo is quite the opposite. Hope Center respectfully urges you to reassess what's clearly been demonstrated to be an abusive situation for many of your female county employees who are still being denied the values that we espouse: safety, respect, empowerment, justice, social change, and integrity in the workplace. To borrow wording from a well-known quote, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is good men and women who do nothing. We join our fellow county citizens who need to see a definitive and just resolution for the plaintiffs in the Jane Doe cases, as well as the implementation of positive work environment changes for all your county employees. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Melinda Dybert, North Manheim Township. Whoa, awesome. Thank you, public comment so far. Many of us are trying to figure out what is going on in Schuylkill County government right now. Our tax claim bureau is in shambles. It appears you are throwing erratic, disorganized, and archaic methodology in an attempt to correct the issues. You have all sorts of options at your disposal. I, along with others, volunteered weeks ago to help sort through the mountains of paperwork. We're hearing those mountains have disappeared, but they've just gone into boxes. Nothing has actually been filed and correctly put in place in that office. My free offer was not deemed worthy. I wonder why not. Meanwhile, you have met behind closed doors to offer unlimited overtime to a male employee while not extending that same offer to female employees. You know, really, end the 900 plus day suspension of 2 female tax claim employees. Bring them back to do their jobs. Multiple reports show they were performing their duties on behalf of the taxpayers of this county. But because they reported sexual harassment and intimidation from Commissioner Halkovich, instead of being protected by the county, they were targeted by the county. One day after the federal lawsuit was filed by the Jane Does, on March 17th, 2021, the county salary board members, Commissioners Halkovich and Boots, Hetherington, and Controller Sharon Yakinchik voted to restructure the tax offices, resulting in a $17,000 pay cut to one employee and a $9,000 pay cut for the other now suspended employee. Retaliation? Yeah, you betcha. You are also violating the State Sunshine Act, meeting behind closed doors to approve contracts, per diem employees, etc. Do you think that we're going to allow this to continue without filing a complaint? No, we will not. And what about this employee badge policy? Wow, that's a misnomer. That is absolutely a misnomer. So get ready. We're coming. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Allie Prado. I'm the Executive Director at SARC, the Sexual Assault Resource and Counseling Center, which serves Schuylkill County. And in our last year, we served over 600 individuals in Schuylkill County for sexual assault services. And I think that number alone reminds us that sexual violence, which includes rape, sexual harassment, sexual assault, child sexual abuse, and workplace harassment, is incredibly common. We're seeing numbers increase, not decrease in our community, and we're concerned about that. We also know that healing is possible for those victims and survivors, and we know that there's many supports that exist in our community. I think the incredible words by Rick Wojciechowski and School Hope Center, who we share co-chairship for our staff committee. We know in the work that we do that there's much that we can do to improve outcomes, to create safer spaces for victims, and to encourage opportunities for reporting. But we also know, because we know how people who perpetrate violence behave, that they will often use tactics of coercion, manipulation, power, and control to keep people from feeling like they can disclose or like they will be believed if they talk about it. And knowing that, we know that we need to change attitudes and behaviors in our community in order to really affect change and prevent violence in the first place. Prevention, and I look to Clarissa, who teaches classes to over 13,000 students in Schuylkill County every year and is an amazing advocate for prevention in our community, tries to build a culture of understanding what bystander intervention and engagement looks and feels like in our schools. And I think it's a really challenging thing for her to do, and to do day in and day out, if we are not demonstrating excellent bystander intervention and engagement skills, or implementing policies and procedures that support survivors. And so with the few moments that I have left in my public comment, I just want to share that survivors of all forms of sexual violence in Schuylkill County have options. They have a right to use their voices for justice and healing. Contacting our hotline 24 hours a day is a way to talk to a sexual assault counselor, and you can do that by calling 570-628-2965. I also invite anyone in this room, commissioners, whoever is interested, to join us at a future community council meeting or a stop committee meeting, because there really is fantastic work happening in Schuylkill County to mobilize for prevention and social change. But to do that, we really need everyone at the table. Having only the 7 folks that work at SARC doing this work will not be enough to change the culture. So please give me a call, give our hotline a call to connect with someone. And we look forward to working with our whole community to prevent future sexual violence, harassment, assault, rape, and victimization.
Anybody else on that?
Good evening, I'm Mary Jo Moss, West Brunswick Township. I have to thank Rick Wojciechowski and Ali Prado for coming this evening. I have a little history there in that commissioners at one point had appointed me to represent them on the Victim Witness Advisory Board some years ago. So I used to work with SARC at the time and with the Hope Center, which was SWIC, and I was also a board member of SWIC. Thank you so much for coming. It's such an important issue to stick up for women. But the one thing I want to appeal to you today is that right now, with the court case with Jane Doe versus the county, there's also individuals that are called out as defendants in that court case. Right now, none of the commissioners are on that list. They are not defendants in the Jane Doe court case. Neither are any of the solicitors that you have working for you right now. You have the opportunity to separate yourself from that court case. The 2 unpaid, suspended women right now are lingering. That situation is, I don't know what can you say, it's far from ridiculous. We can't wait until the summer. We can, but we should not wait until the summer for the trials to unfold. The trials are going to be against the county. They're going to be against the individuals that are named. It's none of you. It's not the solicitors currently. It's not the commissioners currently. You don't need that trial to unfold to do the right thing. In fact, you can separate yourself from that trial by sitting down and figuring out for yourselves what is the best way to handle that situation. I personally think the women should be brought back, but that's just me. I'm not authorized to make that decision. but I ask you to think about it from that perspective. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment?
George Stankovich, Palo Alto. Wow. You know, on media, on social media, all you hear is the good things that are happening in this country. You know, you see photo ops from all these representatives and what they do and how good they're doing. What I heard today was nothing but negative comments from our taxpayers. I know there's some good out there. I know good things are happening, but for all the good that's happening, there's 5 to 10 times many things that are happening that are wrong. Now, I think that taxpayers having to dig in their pockets and pay for these people sexual harassment. This is ridiculous. Why should the taxpayers have to pay? The people that did these crimes are the ones that should pay.
Right.
We are looking at it the wrong way. I think we should get a lawyer or lawyers to look into this situation and find out what we can do as a county to get out of this situation. We shouldn't have to pay this. This is ridiculous. I mean, come on. We're in a hole already. And then, you know what? I want a reassessment of the reassessment. The guys that are doing this.
Yeah.
They are crooks. They are crooks. They have been banned a couple of times. And now they're doing our reassessment. Are they going to do a fair job for us people here? I don't think so. I don't think so. It's time. It's time. You guys, the state, the government, federal government, everybody, get in and look into these situations. This is why towns are falling apart. This is the reason. People can't live anymore in their homes. I am tired of this. And like I said many times, Senator Argo knows what I meant. I'll come and live with him if I ever lose my home. It may be a laughing matter. He's going to get a knock on his door if I ever lose my home because of this nonsense. And that's what it is. 53 years, going to be 54 years that I'm out of high school and still paying school tax. This is nuts. This is actually nuts. I'm tired of this. I hope and I pray that these things are done and done properly. And it's time for everybody to wake up and see what's going on. There's honest people here. There's dishonest people here. And we got to figure out which are which. And it's time to find out now. Don't let this keep on happening because our bills are going to just keep climbing and climbing. Okay, thank you.
That's because you're laughing.
Okay. Laura Krasnowski, People's Republic of Pottsville. During the past 20 years, I presented the Codes Department, Palomar, mandated to oversee the day-to-day operations of the city council, Pellish, and Pellish numerous notebooks full of documents, photographs, and written complaints of codes violations. This affects the county. I apprised Codes, Palomar, Council, and Pellish that there were no permits for work being done on weekends with no actions on my written complaints to date for 20 years. Not once in 20 years was a code worker scheduled on a weekend to investigate, cite, require payment for permits, or issue stop work orders as required by code or the fiduciary duties owed to the people of Pottsville by the mayor, council, Palomar, Pellish, and all city employees. This week, the city codes worker, Petravich, was scheduled for weekend work to expressly cite Bobby Weaver for giving away beer outside. Getting Bobby Weaver is a big deal for the party, as Weaver is and was a political threat. The act clearly demonstrated the city's arbitrary and capricious enforcement of codes and its targeting of political dissenters. It must be stated that not one city codes worker is fully certified, causing the citizens of Pottsville to pay extra money for full inspections. Republican Herald and others say the citation is being worked on by Tim Pellish. The same Pellish who informed Magistrate Riley in the presence of Palomar, Atkinson, and Botto that he was conducting a persecution. The same Pellish paid by the taxpayers to attend city council meetings, but who fails to apprise the council of the Sunshine Act so that the Cole Region Canary has to do it online. The same Pellish who proposed that a fellow attorney, the same Pellish who proposed what a fellow attorney called illegal to the sewer authority, causing legal action to be taken against the city. Not one investigation in 20 years, not one censure, and not one acknowledgement of the blatant corruption in Pottsville. The nepotism, the failure to uniformly enforce the codes, the targeting of only certain individuals, and the failure to hold employees accountable. Rather than do the right thing, we locked up City Hall. This Monday, I requested Senator Argle's office hand-deliver to this Commonwealth's Attorney General, Civil Rights Division, this document of my civil rights complaints against Pottsville, and I'm giving a copy to the Cole Region Canary. And the reason why I did that was so that it is totally public for people to see. That codes department impacts this current tax assessment, because when the city isn't sending the permits up here, it costs the taxpayers more money to have somebody go around and measure things.
Time.
This is really bad. Time, thank you. Yes, we have to have a good night. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment?
Good afternoon. Good evening, Commissioners. Greg Wolf, Schuylkill Haven. First, I'd like to know who wrote the policy. It's very confusing because when you look at the agenda says this is revising and replacing policy, but the policy as written and as shown, it looks brand new. Additionally, we don't have any definitions of what an employee is, what the non-employee in here. It just kind of is all thrown in there. There's also no mention of who actually is going to enforce this policy, who's going to do an annual look at the current employees and who has badges. Is there going to be someone that does that annually to look at it and say, okay, yes, this person left, but they didn't follow the policy and turn in a badge that they're supposed to, so now we get to turn it off? Is there anything that says on a maybe 5-year stasis, we're gonna go through and everyone's gonna be rebadged? That would eliminate any of those issues where someone that's a non-employee has a badge and can still come in at the whim of what their desires. I've written policies in my day job, and this is one of the policies I've written, and I would have to say that I would get this turnaround from my employer, and they tell me to start over. It's garbage. Second thing, glad to see you guys are now finally putting this on the internet. Are you going to actually record it and let them to be on there so we can look at them later? Because currently the way it is, it gets live feed, it's out there, and then it's gone. The only way I can look at it is luckily the Canary has them, and I can, Mr. Dunkel is putting it on Facebook, and I can go back to those. But the county, nope, disappears. That's it. Only people that can be on, that can actually see it during that time can actually watch it. Another thing, when are we gonna start putting the adjustments online? If I can make it to the meetings, I can come and look outside the door, but if you can't make it, you can't see it. You don't know where it is. And again, we're left to, if you see at the bottom of this or at the bottom of that, and we have no idea what it's about. I'm just asking that I be able to print these out beforehand and be able to look at them and not necessarily take time out of my day job to come to the meeting if I don't feel it's necessary. Finally, you are still lacking a MIS director. It is probably going on close to 5 or 6 months that you've not had an MIS director. Have you looked at raising the rate? You had a CYS director that's making over $100,000. I can guarantee you, you will have better candidates show up if you raise the rate of what you are willing to pay your MIS director. What you currently have as the maximum is what I was making when I got out of college 5, 6 years ago with my master's. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Hello, Tammy Saltzman, Porter Township. Hey, Larry.
Hello.
See, you got it right there. I heard there was a meeting between some of you guys, Gary Bender and DEP, and the businesses out our way. Did you attend anything?
No, there was, and take stopper time, I want to take time. We met with the businesses first. We have a meeting set for April 15th with DEP, a representative from the governor's office, I believe somebody from the senator's office, and the commissioners, because we want to meet with DEP, and I have a list of concerns I want to bring up with them.
Okay.
And then we're going to formulate a plan or opinion after that. We met with the companies individually, just with the commission, like the commissioners.
Did one of them bring in a sample of their stuff?
Yes,
Okay. Did it stink?
yes.
Times that by 1,000,000,
I know.
by tons. 3 to 4 days a week we're getting the smell. Coming in the houses, people are sick, eyes burning, rashes, throwing up. Little kids at the school buses just driving by, holding their nose, everybody's holding their nose. It's not any better. And if they can't figure out how to get this bore system going right, then maybe it should all be shut down. Or tell them buy us out. This is beyond anything that humans should live with. It's very bad. I laughed when they said they brought you a sample. That could have been something from 10 days ago, because we have a box of stuff that was cleaned up off the road in front of the house, Wendy's house. We'd like to go get tested, because God knows what's in this stuff. And it's always being dropped in front of the houses. Trucks are coming in there 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. They're lining up to go in there, which they're not open till 7. It's getting pretty bad. And it is like the Wild West of businesses. They're doing whatever they want out there. Stavola's chemical smell is killing people. That's going down into Valley View. Bruce Clouser, you probably know him with the Republican deal. It's going down by his house.
Yeah, he was talking to me about it.
Yeah, it's really nasty, burns your eyes terrible. It almost takes your breath away, certain things. And nobody seems to know exactly what they're dumping. Their website says certain things, but there's no oversight for them or NSP. They could be, you know how life is. They could be bringing in anything. Go dump it in the stripping hole. Dump it down a mine shaft. We have no real clue what they're actually bringing in. But anyways, thank you, and when you meet with them, can you please let us know what's.
You will-
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Go ahead. Or, like,
Shirley Wagner, Porter
Give Shirley a
Township.
microphone, thank you. Give her a microphone, guys. Thank you.
yeah, Shirley,
I'm only gonna say one thing. I have petitions here, which Gary was kind enough to give us to get signatures. And I just wanted to give you a heads up when I collect them all. But right now, today, I got, and you can pass it on to Setco in the chamber, that Big Lots and Amazon, I have signatures on here from them. And they might be interested with the warehouses right there and the other ones that are proposed for that end of the county. They may want to think twice about it. Thank you.
thank you, Shirley.
Thank you, Gary.
For the record, Tammy and this is Shirley and Wendy, I was down in Harrisburg yesterday morning with my daughter to visit the technical assembly. We got open the windows of our car and we're down, we passed the 209 exit, so we understand what you're saying we're gonna try our best to get a resolution on this.
Just try and make it
Hold on,
a
there's-
little vote.
I-
That's all.
We understand that, we understand.
Thank you.
Hold on, there's someone else. Ma'am, did you want to make a public comment? Okay. These both stood up at the same time, Shirley. Now she's next.
Deborah Bourgeois, Brayley Township. We talk about MSP, the smells, what we're going through. I have a friend whose house is for sale and they can't even sell it because of the smell. And it's a shame that we're gonna be getting assessed. And we live in this area that the smell is horrible, we can't enjoy life. And now everyone's afraid our taxes are gonna go up. Because, hey, we're being assessed. At least I hope that we can get something done, and I mean done, because we've been putting up with it for a long, long time. And we've been fighting it just seems like some people say, oh yeah, we're gonna take care of it, we're gonna help you, we're gonna do this or that, and nothing's being done. And as far as I'm concerned, DEP, I think everybody should be fired because they don't do nothing for the citizens. A fine, 50,000, oh, let me tell you what, $50,000 fine, that's like a lunch to that company, totally company. But I just feel DEP needs to step up and do a little bit more. And I hope to God the government stops having Pennsylvania be a dumping ground for other states. If this biosolids is so wonderful, then why end up, can't they take it back to New Jersey or New York and dump it on their fields? What's happening is, no, we're gonna dump it in Schuylkill County area. We'll dump it in the West End. Who cares? Well, we do as citizens. And like I said, I wish to God we could just close NSP down until something is done, as well as the other companies. Leave them start, or I love to take a dump truck and dump it on their yards. That's how mad I get. But being a 70-year-old woman, I don't want to go to jail.
Dennis Stiver, North Manheim Township. I feel for these people. I live in North Manheim Township. I have 50-some years in Higgins Valley. This is freaking ridiculous. I follow these trucks in the morning. Some have plates on them. They're all New Jersey, no New York, all New Jersey. Some don't have plates. Some don't have signage where they're from. You might have a DOT. I'm not sitting there trying to drive and try and write that down, but there are some illegal crap going on out there. It's bad. I just can't feel for these people that are putting up with this. You're behind them coming up Cogen plant, if you know where that is, coming up off the Tremont exit. 10 to 15 miles an hour, and you are smelling it. Triaxles. These are triaxles coming 3.5 hours one way. Diesel fuel today. This stuff must be gold in that stuff. There must be some real good, you know what, in there. That they are traveling 3.5 hours one way. So my dad did trucking for 30-some years, and he did a long haul to New York, and then you do a short haul. So what are these triaxles? That's their first load for the day. They got to do another short trip. What the hell are they putting in that truck? And then the crap is still in there. This is crazy. What is going on? They are overweight. That's guaranteed. Overweight. We can't get state police in there to monitor this and put some rolling weigh stations in. Let's weigh them. I want to see it when I'm going 15 miles an hour up the hill. And these guys are coming from Jersey all the way up 81 to get off Tremont, all uphill. And they're wasting all this gas.
This stuff must be some good stuff. That's all I can say.
I'm Wendy Maidenford. I'm from the dumping grounds. We, out in western Schuylkill County. I'm from Porter Township, but I don't want to say the same things that Tammy and Deb and them said, because she's already know it, and I've been here how many times, but I do want to talk for someone that, a young woman, she's pregnant right now, but she also has a toddler. And she wanted to come tonight, but she had to attend, she has another child that's older and had to attend a school, like, I don't know, some kind of, athletic thing, I don't know what she's in, but anyways, she told me that, she takes her toddler to the daycare up there. Now, that's by the distribution, the Wetware warehouses, yeah. And here, she said that the little boy, it stank that bad, he was throwing up, right in the parking lot, he was throwing up. I don't think that's good. You know what and I know he's heard this, and it probably sounds like a broken record, but our properties are being devalued, our quality of life, we have no quality of life. I've said this before. I just don't want to go on and on and on, but then it seems too, in front of my house, we get overwhelmed by the truck traffic. It seems like, I don't know why my house, it's in front of my house, it just seems like they lose the sewage sludge on the road right in front of my house all the time. It seems like, I don't know why my house seems to get it. And then I see it, well, then I call them up, I tell them to come clean it up, whatever. But my husband did go out and he cleaned some up. And he said himself, he worked there years and years ago before they even started taking all this sewage sludge in. And he said it didn't look like it was processed properly. It's gonna be 2 weeks that we have this stuff. It stinks. It's horrible. I was thinking about bringing some of it along for you to, smell it, see what it, but I didn't.
Okay.
But I know what, Boots said about he smelled it when they were out that way. Now try living there with it. It comes in your home. It just seems like it adheres to everything. It stinks. It's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible. You can't sleep. You get headaches, burning eyes, sick in the stomach. It's disgusting. So imagine that. Imagine have to live like that. Imagine that. It's terrible. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other public comment? Okay, before we get to the west end of the county, like I said, we have a meeting set up for April 15th with them. I have a very specific list of questions that I want to ask DEP and the governor's office coming on, because as far as I know, a couple years ago, there was no complaints. So I want to know what changed from then to now.
When?
2-3 years ago, there was no really complaints up there. Something changed drastically.
We had a permit modification in
Yes.
2020, and they got to increase their tonnage.
Tonnage.
Yes.
And then there's
And that was in 2020, and that's when actually it initially started getting worse. Yes.
So there's specific questions I want to ask them that were brought up to me by a member of the community that is advocating for you guys.
Yeah.
And there's questions I want to ask them, of why aren't these things in place? There's certain things that we want to ask them, and we're asking them about getting a county person certified, to be able to go up there and do inspections, and hopefully be able to write a report directly to Harrisburg instead of going to local DEP to try to elevate it. And listen, Gary was in the meeting with maybe Boots was on vacation when we had it. I told these guys, I said, if I lived up there, I said, I'd organize everybody to do a class action lawsuit against you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, and I said, eventually that's what's gonna happen to them.
Yeah.
So we're gonna pursue this as far as we can pursue it. I'm not giving up on it in any way, shape, or form.
They put them back up in tonnage. Now there's a lot more
traffic. It's bad, and
Yep.
and it stinks constantly.
Well,
Like last week, we had a few days that were nice, right?
Yeah.
You couldn't even open your windows. I mean, that's.
My one friend lives up there, and he tells me every time it's bad, I ask him to call me. Every time there's an issue, I have him call me. And with the trucks, there's loose load, you're supposed to have your load contained,
Yes.
tarps, weight, you know what I mean? When I had my excavating company, you were after me all the time. So, you know what I
There's
mean?
no check and balances, I
Yeah.
don't believe in that. And they could say, oh, we only had 20 trucks today, and they could have 30-some trucks. There's nobody to watch.
What's going on? Well, these are all questions we're gonna bring up at the meeting with DEP. We met with the companies individually to get the information that, I wanted to hear what they had to say about their products and what they do and how they handle stuff. Now, the next step is the meeting on April 15th. And then after that, I'm gonna go up and I told them, I'm not letting them know when I come. I'm coming 5 minutes before I come, I'm calling them and saying, I'm driving down your driveway.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm
Did
gonna,
Stavola tell you what they take in?
yes, but their permit allows a lot more than they said they take in. I read their permit.
Can we get a copy of that?
It's,
We get a
it's right
copy of
online,
it.
I can get it for you, it's public knowledge, I'll get you a copy of it.
Well, they're a private company, so.
Well, their
But if you
permit,
got it,
their
that's-
permit from the state DEP is public knowledge. It has listed on there everything they can take in, everything they can do, that's at DEP, and there's an under mining and reclamation.
Okay.
You can get that, but if not, I think I still have it in my file.
Ask them to take it back when they're done at NSP, their biosomes. Ask them if they would take it back to New Jersey and New York. They can even use it on their fields.
So, I just wanted to address that we're looking at that. Some of the other issues we're gonna address.
Wendy, I agree with you. I drove to Harrisburg for 4 years, in 2011 through 14. Maybe one day a week, it was obnoxious. Every trip I've made to Harrisburg since December has been, like I say, yesterday morning, Tuesday morning, my daughter had to open our windows to get fresh air in as we went down to ravine. So I agree with you 100%. We gotta get something done with the DEP and get this thing ahead of, it's not fair. It's not fair at all.
I agree with you. You know what I mean? My daughter and granddaughter were gonna try to make it to the meeting tonight. You know what I mean? I agree with you. We're gonna try to do all that we can do. Harrisburg has to give us more power.
Yeah.
So, and then with, the other stuff with our policies and procedures, we are in the review process now on the recommendations for the revisions to our policies per the DOJ,
That's correct.
to set, to create.
Employment and practice.
And as soon as we get through the review of it, then they're gonna be implemented. We just actually received them from the outside source that we, you're allowed to pick from 3 people, the DOJ left us, they picked one, and their report's done and all their policies, so they're just being under review then, and then they'll be submitted to the DOJ, and
That report will get submitted in 45 days for review.
45 days after review gets submitted for the DOJ to approve it. Once it's approved from the DOJ, it's gonna be initiated. So that's where we're at right now with that. So we're trying to move the ball forward. Well, it doesn't seem that, but we're trying. Okay, let's move on to the meeting.
Okay, first, on behalf of drug and alcohol approval for the management, for the agreement with Creswell Brothers, General Contractors, Inc. in Pottsville, the Coast Guard's contract to complete the following renovations to the mental health, DS and DA drug and alcohol space, adding 3 workspaces, a new office, additional intake room, new photocopy area, and a larger storage area for the prevention program. The cost of renovations is not to exceed 100. We just go glasses on. $155,108. $308.
155,308.
308. Due to the permits being received and the construction plan for the manager, asking for a motion at this time.
Can I,
So moved.
Second.
on the question?
Commissioner Fedora,
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington,
Yes.
and Commissioner Hess.
Yes. On behalf of Children and Youth, approval is requested to reappoint Mary Ann Devlin to another term, a 3-year term on the Children and Youth Advisory Board with a term period of January 25th, 2024 to January 24th, 2027. Next, on grant writer, approved to advertise for a CDBG ADA project at the North, Middle, and South Ward Playgrounds in Tamaqua. Bids will be done via pen bid, and must be submitted by 9 a.m. Wednesday, April 24th, 2024, at which time they will be open. Next, approval of a contract with Alfred Benish and Company in the amount of $56,700 for engineering services for the CDBG competitive Porter Township, Tremont Township water tank project. Next, on behalf of Adult Probation Office, approval to purchase 25 Kevlar vests at a cost of $1,218.80 each from Whitmer Public Safety Group, Coatesville, Pennsylvania. They are a CoStar's approved vendor. The total cost will be $30,471.75, which we paid from the offender supervision fees. Next, on behalf of the county prison, approval and authorize a contract with Columbia County Prison, Bloomsburg, to provide inmate housing at a cost of $75 per day per inmate. The term is January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024. Next, on the Office of Senior Services, approval of an addendum for the fiscal year 2023-2024 with Burke & Burke of Shenandoah, PA, to increase the contract for an additional $1,000 for legal services. The revised contract cap will be $22,250. The agreement will also be terminated effective as of January 1st, 2024. Next, approval to advertise and request a price quote on registered dietitian services, and services are required for monitoring and education of the agency's in-home meals and congregate meals programs. Next, we have the Tax Claim Bureau, approval requested, well, we're submitting approval requested for next week for the 10 repository sales pursuant to 72 PS 5860-625. Those list is attached to your packet. Next, we have of Scott Crater, the 911 Communications, approval to enter into an agreement with Motorola Solutions of Chicago, Illinois for emergency call works ECW phone system upgrades needed to the phone system to accept NG 911 services. This is a one-time cost of $30,154.80. The cost of this project will be covered by the state NG 911 readiness monies. And is Linda here this evening?
Yes, I am.
I need a little break.
Yeah.
Good evening, Commissioners. All right, for this evening, Commissioners, I have approval of the February 2024 Treasurer's Report, ending balance in all account, $92,997,227.88.
Thank you. Gary Bender, County Administrator.
Nothing additional.
Commissioners, good evening. Listed in your agenda is a budget adjustment for the prior year on behalf of the coroner's office, and it has been posted outside the boardroom.
Human Resources?
Approval is requested for a new policy initiated by the Human Resource Department, which details procedures for employee identification badges. This will clarify who should have a badge, how access is determined. Policy updates and clarifies existing policy for employees and certain non-employees, and it changes the practice for certain non-employees. The intention is to provide the needed access to the appropriate people and preserve the integrity of our building security system.
Personnel Act.
In Children and Youth, we have the appointment of Guillermo Beitler as a County Caseworker 1. The rate is $20.9412, effective 22/24 per union contract. In Emergency Management, the appointment of Robert Whitley, Training and Exercise Specialist. The rate is $58,000, effective 5/6/24. Also, in Emergency Management, the appointment of Kevin Soberick, Deputy Director of Operations. The rate is $72,000, effective 4/22/24. All appointments are pending drug test and physical where appropriate, and all actions involving salary or for positions being created are pending salary board approval. Also, there is one informational item in court administration, the appointment of Margaret Ganley as a judicial attendant effective 3/25/24 per union contract.
Thank you. Any new business? Motion we adjourn.
So moved.
Salary board. Report of any executive sessions.
There were none.
Public comment.
Melinda Divert, North Manheim Township. Okay, according to the personnel action report, 2 prospective employees being hired in EMA at the top tier of the respective salary ranges for those positions. Wow. Really hope those fellas are super qualified for those positions, because when you start off at the very top, where do you have to go from there? Really, we're starting off at the very top of those salary ranges for those positions. You know what that's telling me? Bingo, got to be a part of the good old boys club to get where you're going. So let's look at those salaries. Training and exercise specialist for EMA set the salary at $58,000 for the one employee. I'll leave their names off. They're on the par. We can see them. And then the other is for deputy director of operations. And again, that's an exempt. Both of those positions are exempt, considered salary positions. And that is $72,000 a year. Very interesting. At this point, I'm wondering what our director of EMA and the assistant director or deputy director of administration, what they're actually going to be doing in their positions. So interesting. Okay, another thing, looking at salaries, tax claim. We're hearing that per diem employees are being hired in tax claim. Is that true or not true?
No.
No per diem?
No.
Oh, they're volunteering? We have new people showing up in tax claim. How are they being hired? Because nothing has been put forth on a personnel action request form. Nothing has been approved or come before a public meeting and has been voted on by our county commissioners. So how are new employees showing up in tax claim? That's what I'm wondering, because I offered, 3-4 weeks ago, Larry, to volunteer in there to help clean off that mountain on Deb Dash's desk. And I was turned down as a volunteer. So I don't care if we're getting volunteers in there, we're getting per diem employees. What is going on that these decisions are being made behind closed doors and not at a public commissioners meeting? Because you cannot vote to make decisions unless you do it at a public meeting. So what is going on there? And
Time.
do you guys even know?
No,
Oh, okay.
I don't know what.
I guess Gary's making the decisions. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
No.
Jeff Dunkel, I was gonna leave these off the hook until that one. That was pretty interesting. So how are these mysterious people getting paid? He's saying there's nobody hired, there's people working in the office, they're not volunteering. How are they getting paid? Sharon, are you issuing a check for these people? They're not being paid? So we just have volunteers going in there. Is there a background check being done on these people? They're back there with this paperwork that these women come in whining about a picture that was sent to me by an attorney that I posted that you couldn't read anything, that it's confidential information, which it was all public record. But if it's such confidential information, and you gentlemen up here have no clue who's in this office working or volunteering, nobody knows they're asking a hole in the ground here, excuse my language, but I know. Sorry, Boots, okay? I'm sorry. If you stay awake, maybe you hear me curse other
I don't
times.
talk the way you should.
So anyway, I would like to know how these people are in there. And God knows, she could sit down at a computer and have access to LexisNexis. She could be doing searches. Is anybody looking at that? Where is this gonna end? If he's making the decisions, he's not a dictator here. Boots did this for 3 years. Are these people being paid? And if not, if they're volunteering, are they getting background checks done? Are they getting drug tests done? Are they signing any sort of requirement for confidentiality? A lot of people's records and personal information are in there. When does it end? Let's get answers, because there's closed door meetings to give unlimited overtime to certain people. Now we have people just showing up working. There was a former director 20 years ago, 80 years old now, but nobody knows, is she volunteering? Is she working? Let's get some answers for the public here. Let's stop hiding stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any more public comment? Human resource, personnel actions.
In emergency management, set salary for Robert Whitley, training and exercise specialist, the rate is $58,000, effective 5/6/24. In emergency management, set salary for Kevin Sabarik, deputy director of operations, the rate is $72,000, effective 4/22/24. That is all.
Any new business? Motion to adjourn.
What's yours?